I've always wanted to fly. I wanted to fly over the clouds and the valleys, and I decided to get some flying lessons. And my husband said, Annie, that's great. You want to have a recreational flying licence. And the reason why he said that was it actually took me 4 goes to get my driver's licence. And the first time that I went for that, the first failure, if you like, for want of a better expression, was I really got to know my driving instructor so well I got invited to his wedding. And he should be on my list, yeah. So I'm in my first lesson and I'm nervous. We're 10 minutes into the exam and my driving instructor is in the back and my assessor is sitting next to me, and he asked me to pull over. He looks over at my driving instructor and says, can we reconvene for next month for Annie's second go? And I'm thinking, what did I do wrong? And my driving instructor just did this. And we got back to the depot. I said, what did I do wrong, Jim? He said, Annie, you went through a red light. Clearly, I mean, when I decided to learn to fly, I'm 9 lessons in, and the pilot instructor said to me, Annie, I'm going to teach you how to land on grass. And it suddenly occurred to me, if you've got to learn to land on grass, that's because of an emergency, right? And I thought, you know, the best part about flying was when the instructor says, I'm in control. That means I can sit here and look at the valleys and the trees and and the rivers. It's beautiful being in the passenger seat. I finally got my driving licence, all right? So obviously I would be in control by then. So how is this relevant to you guys? Jan spent the first part of today talking to us about our why. Why did I want to learn to fly? Because I wanted to fly above the hills and the valleys. I didn't want the responsibility of being a pilot. That was very clear to me at the point where I was learning or about to learn how to take an aircraft and land on grass. You can't, when you're up in the air, you can't pull your plane over and land on a cloud. It'd be nice. You can in Peter Pan, but not in real life. So you have to work out in your business. This is what today is about, guys. And I think I'm nailing it this time, Daryl, wherever you are. You have to learn how to land your plane as a pilot. You have to know that if you are the pilot in your business, it's your responsibility. But at some point you will be the passenger as well. And just know which one to embrace and when. Okay? So when you look at this, and not many people know this, but I am not dyslexic for it to be cool. I am full-blown dyslexic. That's why it took me 4 goes to get my driver's licence. When I was learning to drive, I was 18, I was going out with a guy that drove a panel van, and he said to me, Annie, take the wheel, you can do it, you'll be fantastic. I said, I don't want to, it was raining, it was Hillsville, I don't want to take the wheel. He said, no, take the wheel, you'll be fine. No, I don't want to, I'm still learning to drive, I'm not confident in your car. Annie, take the wheel. For goodness sakes, I took the wheel. And I put my brake on the my foot on the accelerator rather than the brake, and drove that panel van over a cliff with us, and the picnic basket came over in the front, because that's what we were going to do, have a picnic. Well, that didn't happen. And the front of the car ended up on the dashboard. What a horrible experience. All because I realised I wasn't ready to be the pilot. I should still only be the passenger. Look at that, don't they look confusing? I was learning about elevation and rudder. Has anyone learnt to fly before? Has anyone had more than 3 or 2 driving exams? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know how that feels, don't you? You really want your licence so you can drive everyone to the pubs, you know? When I'm in control, you can see there's a little bit of OCD going on here. When you guys all go today, I'm going to clean this place up, big time, you know, because I like order. So clearly in the environment of create and take as the workshop that I do, I am the pilot, as you will be when you're doing your own workshops. I know what's going on, I've prepared the room, I've got the notes out, all the little microfiber cloths are lined up. It's a little bit OCD, I know, but that's, so I know that the event's going to happen and it's going to be beautiful because everything's in order, all right? It's the same with food, preparing raw food. That's why it's best to have this one after lunch, isn't it? Because everyone's eaten. So I'm in order, I'm in control with food. This is what I want you to think about, what you've just been learning today, particularly with what Val just said. Phenomenal. Did you hear the way she was talking? You know, she's buying a packet of Aroma Touch, and she's thinking, I'm going to sell it.
And she's gone to America. That was what I couldn't
She's
stop
got
laughing.
because her why was going to America. You know, don't worry about the logistics. I thought there's an essential oil company somewhere in here. So she became the pilot to action that, and I admire her so much. She just went ahead and did it. You know, and she created, and she has got an amazing organisation, and she's one of our hardest working wellness advocates, I can tell you. You know, and she cares about people. Look what she's doing. Look what she found out about that lady that was stuck in the lift, you know, or that actually broke her legs. Really, I love that. So we're going to work all this out in some way. We're going to tie this in even with the last speaker today. So I'm showing you this picture because on the 9th of May 2016, the day after Mother's Day, my mother passed away just after 10 o'clock. And my father and I needed to step in to pilot, to manage all the funeral arrangements and everything to go with it. And I tell you something, she's one of those people, you know, she's actually in me whenever I'm doing anything now. And she rolled up today in the form of a superb blue wren down the bottom of the driveway. That was Mum. She knew this was going to be a big day for all of you, because my mum wasn't a show-off like me. Not at all. She was a humble woman in the background. And there she was, laid out on the 9th of May in another world, you know. And that really solidified to me that I needed to take control. And I think in many ways my business has improved since that day, because I knew that I've got to step up. And I had to step up because I love my family, but they just couldn't handle it. They couldn't get into the arrangements of the funeral. And that's where I just stepped up. In my handbag, I had a memory stick with all the photographs. I didn't know my mum was going to die while I was visiting. Blow me down, I had everything that I needed for the funeral. What's that about? So we were piloting that arrangement. We were on it, all right? And there we are. I took Dad to the main office down in Melbourne. He loved it. He loves the doTERRA oils. He loves the frankincense. This encourages me to keep going in many ways, knowing that I'm helping him. The longer I can keep Dad alive, the better, because he's a really cool guy. And these are a lot of pilots here. This is our team. They're all piloting their own businesses. They know when they need to step back into passenger, which is when they're guiding someone else, and then they can be in the aeroplane that their new team member, who's now become an elite or a premier, is now driving and flying that plane. And that's the thing, remember, as leaders, we've got to know when to step back. It's not for us to be piloting their plane, is it? It's for us to step back and be the passenger. Hope I'm making this clear. And if we're out of control, if we lose control at times, Daryl said don't put that slide up, but anyway. When we're out of control, stuff happens, all right? So you like that slide, okay. What happens when we lose control of focus? Well, this does. So, for example, if I'm in an aeroplane with you guys and the pilot has a heart attack and the co-pilot has a stroke or whatever, and the hostess walks out and says to everyone on the plane, "Excuse me, has anyone got any flying experience? For the sake of humanity, I'm going to zip it, all right? I'm going to zip it. It's not happening." My challenge to you is to approach things a little bit differently. We've got our framework, we've got our structure, which is very important. The backstory of this photograph is that we were in Singapore and this poor father of these children was trying to get a photograph. And they were all over the shop, like they were running around, and he was trying to get them together for a photograph. He was definitely not in control of the situation. So I said to him, because I used to be a photographer, and I was looking and I think we could do something really creative here. So I said to the dad, "Can I take control?" I did. I said, "Would you like me to have a go?" And he said, "Sure." And I said, "Let's make the word love with their bodies." And of course, what did that mean for the kids? They were into it. They loved the idea of some random crazy woman arranging them in the letter love. And you know something really interesting? Prior to taking this photo, no one was really, all of a sudden, a whole lot of people arrived at this park. They came out of nowhere and they're all taking photographs, and because of what we did with these 4 beautiful children. Just looking at things a little bit differently. So, those lessons I was having, they were $245 for 40 minutes for flying lessons. I'd put aside some money to learn to fly, and I thought after the 9th lesson, I'm going to give that a rest. And I'm going to put that funds into being a passenger with my husband and my son. I'm going to go and do a retreat called Feel the Love Retreat in Hawaii. And that's what we did. So that's how I'd like to end this, basically, is that I'd love you all to work out whether you're the pilot or the passenger in your current business. And if you are the passenger, that might be okay right now as you're learning. But when you're ready to go into pilot, you're going to know. And your upline and your support people are going to be there to nourish you on that journey. Good on you. Okay.